online at WGNSradio.com. This is the Roundtable. A look at the news, views, politics, and people that are shaping Rutherford County.
And good morning, everyone. Welcome to your Tuesday morning Roundtable edition of here at WGNS with Rick Hall and Wayne Blair. And good morning, Wayne. I'm tongue-tied this morning. We were in the middle of a conversation. I quit to go on air. But how are you, sir?
I'm fine. Good morning. Hope you had a good weekend. Kudos to the three Rutherford County Rotary Clubs. You and I and Stacy and Teresa, along with a bunch of other Rotarians, did a panel build.
That's right.
It was just a lot of fun, and it was great with the fellowship and the social aspect, being with the other Rotarians.
It sure was. I can't believe we did a 1,500 square foot house and it all fit on a trailer.
I know.
At the end of the day, we got it all loaded. And but Dominique, that we built it for, she was amazing. She was really good. My wife and her had a good conversation, and I think they got a friendship out of that deal.
That's cool. Teresa and I went over to Twin Oaks and Halls Hill and looked at the subdivision. I think they called it Legacy Point, and looking to put 76 habitat houses there.
That's right.
And it was it's a neat subdivision, and the houses are just so attractive, and what a great service we did.
I agree. I think if anybody's wanting something to do, they're sitting at home, they can't figure out, and they want to do some kind of service, I would say that'd be the first thing, is pick up the phone and call the Habitat for Humanity, because what they're doing is really good work.
Congratulations to the Lady Raiders,
right.
25 in the nation. That's pretty
Staying
amazing.
in there, man.
Yeah, they're hanging. They're fun to watch, too.
Sure are.
I guess I need to get to our special guest this morning, good friend, and Mayor, Rutherford County Mayor Joe Carr. Mayor, you've worn several hats over the years, and gosh, it's a pleasure to have you this morning. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule.
Well, thank you, Wayne. I have as many hats as my wife has pairs of shoes. So she has a shoe closet, and I have a hat closet, right?
Yes,
I have worn a few hats over the years, and so I have a number of interests, and so. And
Rick and I, rather than try to read a bio, we try to get our guests to talk about, your family, your raising, if you will, and some of your history.
Yeah. So my raising was like most people in our generation, Wayne. We understood the value of discipline as a child. And I think I'm appreciative of that. My father was a 20-year fighter pilot in the United States Air Force, flew combat missions in Korea and Vietnam. He survived 2 airplane crashes, was highly decorated. As a matter of fact, he was awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross, which is a significant achievement for valor in combat in Vietnam. And so that had a lot to do with how I was shaped as a young man or a young boy. In 1971, he was stationed at the Pentagon after having left Vietnam, and we were living up there at the time. And then he retired, and then we moved back to Tennessee. My mom is a 6th-generation Tennessean. Her family originally is from the Rockville area.
Oh, wow.
The McCrarys and the McPeaks are from the Rockville area. And so we moved back to Tennessee, specifically Murfreesboro. So I went to Riverdale High School, graduated in 76, went to MTSU, did 2 stints at MTSU working on my undergraduate and my graduate degree. Then I started a business, and then I started another business, and then I entered the Tennessee General Assembly, and then I retired, and then I went to work for Governor Lee at TDEC as TDEC Assistant Commissioner. Then I retired for the 3rd time, and then I was asked to run for county mayor. And I have the dubious distinction of winning the county mayor's race last year. So we're about 6 months in.
Your plate's kind of full, I suspect, isn't it, Mayor?
It is. I live a very blessed life, Wayne. The Lord has blessed me and my family. I've got 3 lovely children, 2 grandchildren. My wife, Jenny, of 40 years, we've been married together. We have a phenomenal marriage. We have a farm in Las Casas that we've had for almost 30 years. My son runs the farm for us. We have a sawmill. We have 22 beehives. We have 12 walking horses that we train, break, and ride for pleasure and for trail. I have a lot of things that interest me. So.
I don't know that you should have time to be mayor.
Well, I jokingly I tell people that this being mayor is a side hustle. It's a little more than a side hustle. It's about 12 to 14 hours a day.
Yes, sir.
I absolutely love this community.
No doubt.
I love it, and the people here. The people are what make the community, just like everywhere else. And the people here are absolutely phenomenal. And it's because, and I want to make sure the listeners know and understand this, it's because of the people here that defines us, that makes Rutherford County a destination place for people all over the country. People from California, Illinois, New York, New Jersey, Washington, Oregon, all over are making Rutherford County and Tennessee a destination place. And it's because of the people, the values, and the principles. And it's just the secret's out, and by virtue of that, Rick, we have some real challenges, but the greatest, and I was sharing this with Mayor McFarland, a Murfreesboro mayor, not too long ago, that the greatest challenge we have as a community are not the problems like the landfill and the budget and making sure we take care of our school teachers and educate our kids. Those are real problems, and we will continue to address those. But the greatest challenge that we have is not squandering the tremendous opportunity that we have, because Rutherford County is a tremendous place to live. And I think for some of us who've been here a very, very long time, Wayne, we kind of take that for granted. And I don't want to do that.
I can't agree more. I think I've said it on this show many times, and I tell people in the community, because you always hear those negative Nellies that come through out there, that how bad where growth and where our roads are and everything else. But you go to other parts of the country and how bad they're struggling. That I guess we struggle some, but we're nowhere near what other parts of the country are going through.
It's interesting you bring that up, Rick. I was having a conversation with a mayor from West Tennessee last night, a county mayor from West Tennessee. And they're struggling. They've got Blue Oval coming to West Tennessee, and this is the term that he used. He said, "We are unprepared for the economic development that this is going to bring." He said, moreover, our challenges educationally are really, really significant. He said they're so challenging. We have two classes in this county. We have literally the haves and the have-nots, and we are struggling, because the have-nots in that county make up the majority of the population. And he was saying we are struggling to figure out how to lift all the have-nots into more of a have, so we don't have these two classes. And he was sharing this with me, and it broke my heart, because a lot of this that he was talking about, you could see was generational. And so how do we break these generational cycles? Murfreesboro, Rutherford County, Smyrna, Laverne, Eagleville, we are so blessed. We don't have those challenges. We have other challenges, but we do not have those challenges. Mm-hmm. And you, Rick, you couldn't be more correct in thinking, do we have problems? Absolutely. Do they need to be addressed? Yes, and we will address them, and we will correct them. But the fact is our greatest challenge is not to squander the opportunity. It's tremendous.
When I was on the school board years ago, even years ago, there were school districts across the state that I would talk to that, we would talk about our problems in conference or at some meeting, and to a person, they always said they would rather have our growth issues mm-hmm. than their lack of growth
That's
issue.
Correct.
Because at least they felt like you could find solutions for the growth issues a lot easier than the non-growth, because the dollars were not there.
That's correct.
With the non-growth.
That's correct. It's just a real struggle to lift yourself out of a situation that is economically oppressive. Let's just be candid. It's just very difficult to stimulate that economy. We've got an economy locally that is so stimulated, we're trying to make sure that everybody has opportunity and access. That is a much different challenge than trying to figure out how to stimulate that growth.
Yeah,
it's entirely different. again, we are blessed, and living in this community is such a blessing.
I agree. So you took office September 1st.
Yes, sir.
Hit the ground running. What was some of your goals or layout for 2023 that you've kind of?
The first and primary goal is to make sure, and Wayne, I think will appreciate this, is to make sure that the mayor's office and the county commission work hand in glove, side by side. The county commission does not report to the mayor, but neither does the mayor report to the county commission. They're co-equal branches of government, and I think that's very, very important, and that they function that way in a very cooperative way. Sometimes you will just have disagreements, but those disagreements should be confined to policy and not personality. And so that was the number one task for me from a procedural or process standpoint, Rick. With regard to issues, the absolute most critical issue facing our county from a time standpoint was the landfill. Wayne and I have been talking about the landfill for a long, long time, and Wayne has been a very valued piece of wisdom for me as I've moved through this over the last couple of years. I've really appreciated his insight and the things that he knew about the landfill that I wasn't privy to. The fact of the matter is we've had 3 different professionals evaluate the Middle Point landfill, and they all say that landfill has about 2 to 2.5 years of life left in it without a expansion. Rutherford County Mayor's office will not approve an expansion of the landfill, period. And so we are quickly moving toward other solutions that deal with not only diverting our waste away from landfill deposits, but also towards recycling, composting, and what those things would be. And so to that end, the county commission has approved a $200,000 engineering design study for a transfer station, and we are working with the design engineering company as we speak to get that started.
The transfer station, will it be multi-purpose for moving solid waste on and recycling and
so
well?
what we want with this, Wayne, is we want a lot of flexibility with this particular facility. And so what we believe its primary purpose would be to bring our solid waste from the convenience centers from Murfreesboro pickup to that facility. It's then dropped off and then picked up and loaded into large trucks and moved out. So it's literally a transfer station. It's transferring the waste out of that facility. So that waste should never be there more than 12 to 24 hours before it's moved out. But at the same time, we want something that is flexible enough that allows us to have composting or recycling or MRF or those kind of things. So as we move toward how we divert waste out of a landfill, we want those transfer stations or that transfer stations to be a hub for that activity to make sure that we facilitate those kind of solutions.
The time I served on solid waste committee, need to add that, there was an entity that felt like that they could make a 40% difference in our solid waste going to the landfill just through recycling, be it plastic bottles, cardboard, just loose paper, and I was thrilled about that opportunity.
The problem with recycling that a lot of people don't understand is that recycling is a great opportunity, but it creates significant challenges. And the challenges with recycling are, number one, education. A lot of people in the South don't recycle. We just don't. We haven't had a need to recycle, sure. So we don't recycle. But once you require it or mandate it, then you still have an education process, because recycling requires that the recyclables not be contaminated. A lot of people don't know this, but when you take a pizza box with a grease stain and you take it to the convenience center to the cardboard, it can literally sabotage that whole load. It can contaminate that load, so that now that load is no longer recyclable. So you have to so that's very important. The third challenge to recycling, and the biggest challenge, is it's a commodity. Not all recyclables have value. And so it's a commodity, so they go up and down. Example, recently, and Bishop Wagner, our solid waste director here in Rutherford County, informed me that these recyclables of our cardboard were no longer being accepted because they had so much cardboard stockpiled, they didn't want our cardboard anymore for recyclables. So now we're recycling, and when they reject our recyclables, where does that recyclable go? It now goes back to the landfill. And so there has to be an end use for those recyclables. And too many times getting the material out of the ground is still cheaper than recycling, especially when it comes to sorting and contamination. So those are our challenges.
Sure.
It doesn't mean we don't meet those challenges and embrace those challenges and find solutions to accommodate or around those challenges or to answer those challenges. It's not as simple as throwing a plastic bottle in a receptacle or cardboard in a cardboard bin or glass in a glass bin. It's a little more complicated than that.
It was reported in the news around that time, the transfer station that you're talking about now that y'all delegated this money for, that's going to be on the county portion of the land behind the landfill, right? Or is that the one on Florence?
Originally, that is correct. And so then Murfreesboro, of course, Murfreesboro is pursuing a waste-to-weight solution, which is turning MSW or municipal solid waste or your household trash into pellets that then can be used to generate energy at a kiln or something like that.
Gotcha.
But to get the trash to a waste-to-waste solution, you still need to have a transfer station because not all trash is available for a waste-to-waste solution. So there has to be some kind of sorting. And so Murfreesboro is wanting to put a transfer station and the waste-to-waste solution on Butler Drive. And they've already got an engineering firm designing that. And so they've asked us if we would be willing to partner with them 50-50 on the transfer station at Butler Drive. And so we're now in talks with Murfreesboro to see what that would look like. So right now, Rutherford County produces, Rick, about 360,000 tons of waste every year, solid waste every year. Of that, Murfreesboro picks up about 50,000 tons. The Rutherford County Convenience Centers, Wayne, pick up about 50,000 tons. So that's 100,000 tons that we're kind of statutorily obligated to. So that leaves us with 260,000 tons that we've still got to find a home for. I think the idea of having a north transfer station and a south side transfer station has a lot of merit. And
so with that, is Smyrna and Laverne coming to the table with their municipalities? I know they don't currently have trash pickup. They rely 100% on private entities.
Well, they rely on private entities, Rick, that then take their trash to Middle Point and pay a tipping fee. And they have our busiest convenience centers happen to be in Weekly Lane in Smyrna.
Yeah.
In Rutherford County.
Yeah, which they're building a new one of now.
They're to replace the old one. Yes, sir. That's correct.
Yep.
Yeah. You listen to the County Mayor Joe Carr with us this morning on the Tuesday morning roundtable. We're going to take our first break and be right back with you. Listen to WGNS Radio.
Chip Walters here with Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates. I was named a top 10 agent in the #1 Exit Realty office in America in 2021. The top question I get around town, how's the market? Good question. And the answer's changed a few times this year alone. I'd like to know what you've heard and share some solid data we have. Give me a call and let's have a cup of coffee and take a look at what's happening in your neighborhood. All my contact info is right on my website, choosechip.net. I'm Chip Walters with Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates.
Guys, if you've noticed a lack of energy, motivation, and drive, it could be low T. Schedule your complete health assessment at Low T Center. They now offer the convenience of monitored self-inject at-home testosterone treatments for only $155 a month cash pay, or covered by most health insurance. If you don't live near Low T Center, or you just need the convenience of at-home treatment, Low T Center makes it easy to get started on treatment. Only your first 2 visits are in person. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book your appointment online. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Del Walmsley and the Wealth Cycle.
This is the wealth cycle that I've taught for 30 years. Buy 1 house, 10 houses, an apartment, 2 apartments, 8, 20, 500 units, 1,000 units, 2,000, 5,000 units. And as you keep putting the money and the profits back in, you become one of those rich people. And much quicker than you'd even believe.
Learn Del's Wealth Cycle at GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. Use promo code 2023. Save 60%. Code 2023. GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. GiveMeTotalFreedom.com.
MTSU Arts, together with Ascend Federal Credit Union, presents the MTSU Arts Celebration Concert on February 25th at 7:30 p.m. in Tucker Theater.
In the morning, when he opens up the door.
Broadway star Laura Osnes joins us as host for this special production and will perform alongside our talented students and faculty. Visit mtsu.edu/mtsuarts for tickets.
This is Good Neighbor Events with Bart Walker. Brought to you by the law offices of John Day and AmeriCare Pest Control.
This is a paid legal ad.
Hi, this is John Day of the law offices of John Day. For more than 30 years, my team and I have worked hard to help injured people throughout Middle Tennessee. Over that time, we've helped thousands of people get the legal help they need when they've needed it the most. And if we're not able to help or aren't the right lawyer for you, we'll do the best to point you in the right direction. If you've been injured, call the law offices of John Day for a free consultation. And remember, there's no fee unless we win your case.
WGNS encourages you to shop local. That helps our local economy. There's a charity fashion show this Saturday over at the Grand Hall. High school sorority Delta Beta Sigma is sponsoring this charity fashion show, and it benefits the Make-A-Wish Foundation and the Boys and Girls Club. The tickets are $25, and they're on sale at the door. Again, that's 2 o'clock Sunday over at the Murfreesboro Grand Hall. Habitat for Humanity's Comedy Night is coming up Thursday evening, March the 9th, at the Embassy Suites Hotel and Conference Center. Ventriloquist comedian Taylor Mason will keep you laughing, along with great food, fun, and so much more. The tickets are $50. For more information, get in touch with Habitat for Humanity. The Divine musical comedy Sister Act is this weekend through Sunday at Oakland High School. And it won't be long until the 12th annual Special Kids Race at the Murfreesboro Medical Clinic. It's Saturday morning, March 11th. Those are WGNS Good Neighbor events.
Good neighbor weather. Partial sunshine develops here this afternoon. We'll see high in the upper 60s. Northeast winds of 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, mostly cloudy and low near 57. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Vujicic, Scan News Radio WGNS. Currently, it's 52.
Broadcasting from the Middle Tennessee Electric Studios, MTE Sharing Change has now donated more than $11 million to local nonprofits assisting worthy causes in our community. MTE, serving to make life better since 1936.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and worldwide at WGNSradio.com.
And good morning and welcome back to the second segment of the WGNS Roundtable with your host Rick Hall and Wayne Blair. And it's our pleasure this morning to have Rutherford County Mayor Joe Carr, good friend.
So the first segment was so good, Wayne, we had to come back and do a second. Is that how that works?
Well, actually, we have three. and they
Sorry
go,
about that.
Well, they go so fast.
They do.
And we want to continue to talk, but we had someone several months ago that brought in a tablet full of notes, and Rick looked at her tablet and said, we're probably not going to make it through probably half a page. And she looked at him and said, "Oh, we'll finish." And
so for the listeners out there, I've got my notes right here in front of me. It says on my notes, Rick Hall and Wayne Blair.
That's right.
That's my notes. Now people are going, why would you know Rick and you know Wayne? Why would you write their name down? Because I'm old and I really don't want to forget it on air. That's why.
I resemble that remark, Mayor.
No, those are my notes.
My pre-show used to be about 3 pages,
yes.
And you notice it's a half a page.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I got last week's on that side, so
there you go.
I can recycle paper.
Amen.
And I'll get 4 sides out
Amen.
of it.
But gosh, we're glad to have you this morning. We talked about solid waste in that first 15 minutes, and we can continue that conversation if you'd like, or we can move on to budget constraints, to growth in our schools. So
I do want to share something with the listeners, something that I'm working on, and to be sure, when we first talked, Rick and Wayne, we talked about what was the most immediate urgent concern confronting the county, and that is without question the fact that, the mayor's office and other professionals believe that we've got 2.5 years on the landfill out at Middle Point before it's going to be full. So that's going to require a sense of urgency on the part of the county. The county commission has done a great job responding to that call, and so I'm comfortable that we're making progress on that. But while that is the most urgent need, that's not our most important issue. Our most important issue is the growth. And we talked about that at the top of the first segment, the opportunities that all this growth presents us. That one of those opportunities, Rick, is a tremendous amount of growing pain. We cannot, the infrastructure required as a result of the growth is not being able to keep up. And it's because we have within the county some very antiquated funding models to pay for that growth. Mm-hmm. Right now in Rutherford County, as according to statute, Tennessee Code Annotated 67-4-2901 through 2913, you can tell I'm an old legislator, is the County Powers Relief Act. And the County Powers Relief Act specifically stipulates that the counties only have two avenues by which to fund growth. That is to raise property taxes and, with the County Powers Relief Act's facilities tax, to fund for schools. The problem with that is that the county's growth is not universally shared across all parts of the county. In your end of the county, Wayne, the growth is crazy. In Smyrna, Laverne, Blackman, the west side of the county, it's growing like crazy. In my end of the county, or especially the Kittrell end of the county, there's not much growth at all. And so when you talk about the expansion of services and who pays for the expansion of services like fire, EMS, law enforcement, roads, and schools, and those things like that, who pays for the expansion of those services as a result of the growth? Who's responsible for paying for that? Well, right now, the property tax base is responsible for that. And to me, that is patently unfair when you've got an elderly couple in Kittrell who've been on their farm for years, it's been a family farm for years, and you've got a 400-unit subdivision going out on the west side of the county, and that subdivision needs fire, needs EMS, needs law enforcement, needs roads. And to expand those services to meet the needs of those 400 new homes, the only thing available to Rutherford County is what? Raising the property taxes on the elderly couple in Kittrell.
Sure.
For me, a conservative, that's patently unfair. I believe if those 400 homes want those services, they should be able to have those services. And to me, they require those services. I guarantee you there isn't a single homeowner coming from California, New York, New Jersey, Illinois that's not coming here saying, I don't need fire, I don't need EMS, and I really don't need law enforcement. They're not saying that. I don't care anything about good roads either, by the way. They're not saying that. They expect those things. Right. And so because they expect those things, they also expect to pay for access to those services just like everybody else. And so I've been working with the Tennessee General Assembly and all 95 mayors across the state to amend the County Powers Relief Act to essentially allow the county the same financial tools in funding for the expansion of growth that those new services require that the cities already have. Because right now, the cities have access to a certain set of financial tools to pay for growth and the expansion of growth that the counties don't have. So there's a real disparity there. And I'm working with the Tennessee General Assembly on a new law that amends the current statute that allows Rutherford County and the other 94 counties access to those same tools that the cities already have. That's a big deal.
How about addressing it's not called BEP anymore. They revamped that, and and I don't know the formula. It really
TISA. It's TISA. I don't know the formula either. Yeah. You'll have to get Charlie Baum in here, Representative Baum, to explain it. He's really good at that.
And I couldn't, and I didn't know anybody that really knew how to break down the BEP, the old BEP formula.
Well, it was very complicated, Wayne. You and I know that.
But there is a lag time between the money getting to the school systems for new students, and of course I think the new, and you call it TISA.
TISA, I believe, is the
enunciation
acronym.
is my issue sometimes. There was supposed to be a portion of that helped with the capital projects with school systems,
Especially high growth areas like Rutherford County.
Has that come to fruition? That they're seeing something positive out of that?
According to Representative Baum, who I put a great deal of faith in because he knows this. He really knows this stuff.
Brilliant.
And by the way, Representative Charlie Baum is vice chair of the House Finance Committee, so he would know. And he does know, and he's also an economist at MTSU. He's an economics professor at MTSU. Yes. So I put a lot of stock in what Charlie says on these things. But he understands that his understanding is our first tranche for the TISA money will come in the 23-24 budget year. So that money is expected to be around $40 to $50 million, and that will provide a great deal. That will relieve a great deal of pressure on the school funding projects that Dr. Sullivan, school board superintendent, has brought to the county commission, because right now what they're saying is they need $200 million in bonds to just meet the current demand for renovating 3 high schools and building a new elementary school out in Blackman.
And that doesn't even take in consideration the aging HVACs and the roofs.
Oh no,
and
the maintenance of effort stuff. No, not at all.
So it's
so it we Rutherford County every year grows by anywhere from 1,500 to 2,000 new students enter the Rutherford County school system every year, and this is so important that people understand. Currently, as of the April 2022 census estimate, Rutherford County by the United States Census was 362,000 people. This time next year, in less than a year, Rutherford County will be larger than Hamilton County. Rutherford County is growing by 3% every year, year over year.
Mayor, with the census, since it occurred during that COVID era or time, I've read some things that doubted how accurate that census was. Is there? I know that there's been special census in the past. Is that something that the county and the municipalities would partner with?
That's a great question, because, as you know, so much of the federal appropriations money that we receive is based on census data, i.e., what's the population of your community, right? And I know the cities are at a distinct advantage over the county when taking a census because of the resources they have available. Number one, they're taking a census of a condensed population in a very confined geographical location. So the efficiency of taking a census is much better for municipalities than it is for a county. The second piece of that is typically the municipalities, solicit their firefighters to go out and do that. And Rutherford County is just now coming on board with a full-time firefighting force, so we don't have the resources to do what the cities can do. Having said that, it's something that my office is taking a serious look at to see if there are efficient ways to do an accurate count of the Rutherford County population in concert with Eagleville, Laverne, Smyrna, and Murfreesboro, because I think there are dollars available there to the county if we can get there.
Yes, sir.
I'm just wondering because I've thought about this too with the community centers like we've got, so like Kittrell and Rockvale and Walter Hill, and use of those community centers and the volunteers of maybe teaming up with the growing fire department we got now that might be a resource for that, because I think it is going to take some kind of volunteers, because we're pushing unfortunately we got a snowball at the top of the hill, and at some point it's going to start rolling, and we're trying to stay up with it, but we're going to have to really make some changes.
Yeah, and the snowball, Rick, is that funding model that we have that is not adequate to meet the growth demands of our community. I mean, currently we're working under a $64 million deficit with the current budget. We hired 130 new employees, a lot of those off of one-time ARPA money that's going to go into the as a recurring expense in the next budget. We need to tighten our belts, but at the same time, we've got to pay for the fact that our schools are busting at the seams, Wayne. I mean, Dr. Sullivan is a conservative, and he's only asking for what he thinks he needs to operate an efficient school system. And by the way, Rutherford County has a very, very good school system. Yes, and it's our goal, not to move backward one step, but to continue to move up the ladder to be the best county school system in the state. So it takes money, unfortunately.
Well, and unfortunately, most people do not understand how the property tax is divvied out and how the school systems are funded. The state pays about 55% for certified and classified, certified for sure salaries. So everything above that is homeowners.
And I would like to real quick. I would like to say this: property taxes are. The intent of property taxes is to maintain and upgrade the existing infrastructure provided to the taxpayer. It's not to expand that infrastructure. The expansion of that infrastructure should be paid for by those who are asking for the expansion of that infrastructure, which is why I'm seeking to change the law with regard to the County Powers Relief Act.
Yes, and I would like to point out 60% of our budget is paid by those state funding, so that extra $50 million adds to that percentage of the gap that we fill up the 40% of that with our property taxes. So the more we can get from the state, the better our tax rolls will be. We're going to take our second break here. It looks like we're coming up on 58 degrees of a high of 63 today. I'm excited. Short sleeves today. But
bees are going to be out.
That's right. But you listen to the County Mayor, Joe Carr for Rutherford County, and we're going to take our second break and we'll be right back with you. Thank you.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and worldwide at WGNSradio.com.
Where is the best barbecue in town? In 1920, East Main. The best barbecue for miles around is in 1920, East Main. You can buy it by the pound, sandwich, platter, or plate. No matter what you choose, it will taste great. You can come with a friend, by yourself, or with a date. Just Lick Pig Barbecue. Barbecue pork, beef, or chicken, Brunswick stew, great sides, lunch specials, down-home atmosphere, and they cater. Slick Pig Barbecue, it's the best.
Hi, this is Taylor Halliburton. One of the special services that Bell Jewelers offers is appraisals. We do them in-house. We have 3 certified GIA gemologists in-house, which is pretty amazing. We do it all here in-house. We don't have to send anything out. We actually don't even remove any of the stones, so nothing's at risk. You can get the most accurate test results valuation.
Come by and see us at Bell Jewelers at 821 Northwest Broad Street.
Do you suffer from peripheral neuropathy in your hands or feet, burning pain, balance problems, and a decreased quality of life? Magnolia Medical Center can help. This is Dr. David Morris with Magnolia Medical Center, across the street from the hospital and the Ascend Federal Credit Building.
Online at magnoliamedicalcenters.com.
Here at Bud's Tire, we make buying Michelin tires simpler. I'm Allison Mitchell with Bud's Tire Pros. We offer a straightforward approach to service, including nationwide warranties with every purchase. Stop in today to see our full lineup of Michelin and BF Goodrich tires. For whatever you drive, Michelin and BF Goodrich have a tire to fit any need. Bud's Tire Pros, hassle-free, guaranteed. We're located on East Main Street, exactly 3 miles from the town square, 1 mile past Rutherford Boulevard. Visit us online at budstirepros.tn.com.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and worldwide at WGNSradio.com.
And good morning again, and welcome back to the third segment of the WGNS Roundtable with your host, Rick Hall and Wayne Blair. And this morning, our guest is Rutherford County Mayor Joe Carr. We've covered some subjects so far, Mayor.
2.
Right. We're going to have to.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, we're going to have to get you back so we can go a little further. But this third segment, we'll whatever you want to talk about, Mayor.
Oh, this is your show, Wayne and Rick. I appreciate you having me on. Anytime I get an opportunity to share the vision of the county, I'm glad to do it. I really am. Let me just share something really neat that I discovered. I get asked this question every now and then, and the question I get asked is, well, Mayor, what is the one thing that you found once you got into office? What was the big surprise? What was the thing that you didn't expect or you didn't account for? And that is and I love that question. So I'm going to ask it of myself on you and Rick's behalf, if you don't mind.
Please.
And the reason I wanted to bring this up is because my background is I started an engineering company in 1990. My brother and I did, and we started it literally from nothing. We borrowed $5,000, and we started a mechanical engineering design company called Precision Concepts in the basement of our home. And we quickly outgrew that. In 3 years, we were a multi-million-dollar business. I'm going somewhere, by the way. In 3 years, we were a multi-million-dollar business. In 5 years, I bought my brother out. By 1998, by the time I was 40, I had sold the business and was retired. I retired for the first of 3 times I've retired, Wayne. And so a very large, very profitable design engineering company, the 6th largest of its type in the Southeast. We had offices all over the country. I loved it, worked extremely hard. Then I got to do it again in 2000, and then, of course, I went to the General Assembly. My point in saying all that, what's that got to do with Rutherford County, is this. I know the value and how important it is in a large organization to have really good people in positions of leadership. And the biggest surprise, and it shouldn't have been for me, it's just not something I thought about. And I'm kind of sad. It's a reflection on me, but when I got into office, I was amazed, absolutely amazed at the quality of people in leadership position in Rutherford County government. Especially the directors and their first reports, but all employees are absolutely phenomenal. But the directors, their passion for Rutherford County, their passion for their job, their knowledge of their job, I mean, is off the charts. And for me personally, that suits my leadership style personally, because I don't like to micromanage. I'm not an administrator. I like to craft a vision. I like to cast the vision. I like to deposit that vision in the people who report to me directly, and then I like to turn them loose and let them do their job. As a matter of fact, when I met in the first 30 days when I was meeting with all the directors, I told them that as far as I was concerned, or as far as I knew and understood, I only had one job for them. And of course they go, no, you have lots of jobs, you have lots of responsibilities, you're the mayor. I said, nope. I said, Rick, you don't understand. As far as you're concerned, I've got one job, and my job is to make sure you have the tools and resources as a director to do your job, sure, and then get out of the way. And I think we've done a pretty good job doing that. But I want to just let the public know, the listening audience know, just how fortunate they are to have people in positions of leadership within the various departments of Rutherford County doing phenomenal work.
You get to start sharpening your pencil here real soon, don't you, Mayor?
I do. And it's really good that I put out those accolades. Are you hearing that, directors? Yeah. We're going to have to tighten our budget. We got a $64 million deficit that we were given, and that's not right. We shouldn't have a deficit with this growth. And we've got 130 employees that have found their way off of a one-time ARPA money, which was from the federal government, and is now going to find its way onto a recurring expense. Sure. We're gonna embrace the challenge, and we're gonna meet it, but it's not insignificant.
Do you feel, well, I guess the county commission wise this time, I think that's the biggest rollover I can ever remember, having that many commissioners come off and new ones come on. That was but it seems like cohesively it looks like the transition's gone well and you're getting everybody up to speed, correct?
I think so. I think one of the two things that I did that I'm really proud of, I've hired a chief of staff who's an attorney. His name's Eric Hennessy, and Eric is doing a lights out job for the county. I mean, he is. We didn't talk about this, but he is in charge of basically expanding recovery court because we have 140 people waiting list. And if the listeners have never been to a recovery court graduation, you need to go, because if there's one thing the county can do is in saving money is save lives, and that's what recovery court does. the recidivism rate drops for these people as opposed to incarceration if we can get them into recovery court. And Eric has done a great job leading that charge. The other thing that I was real proud that I did is I told the county commission, and Wayne, you and I disagreed on this, but I told the county commission, I said, look, you're the legislative body, the mayor is the executive body, and the executive body shouldn't be presiding over the county commission. And I think that was a real good decision. And I think it's worked out very well for both the commission and the mayor's office. And so I'm pleased with those two decisions and how they've transacted thus far.
Do you think with the juvenile board, I kind of want to, that was number 8 on my list, but I want to bring it up since
Sure.
we're on that whole different thing, and I think you're chairing that board. With the juvenile board, what changes are you seeing coming for juvenile court, or if any, or is it just a policy difference?
I can see no changes. The board does a really good and exhaustive work of the SOP, or the standard operating procedures, the manual. The board has tightened up that manual. Lynn Duke and her staff do a great job out there, and I'm really proud of them. They've had some very turbulent times recently, as everybody's aware of. There's no sense in going over those again, but the board has done a good job of providing some stability there and providing some leadership. And I think, I know we're on the right track, and that's reflective in the board meetings.
I'm retired law enforcement when I retired from Smyrna, but I just know that was a common theme of our juvenile crime. Obviously, with the growth we're getting, juvenile crime's going up, and that's a big issue out there, to make sure that we're keeping the right ones in there and letting not letting the wrong ones out and letting the good ones.
Yeah, just to show you the quality of work that goes on out at the Juvenile Detention Center with Lynn Duke as director. There are several counties across the state that contract with the Rutherford County Juvenile Detention Center to take in those juveniles that have run afoul of the law. And that's a testimony to the quality of the facility over there, and a testimony to Lynn Duke and her staff. So that, if you want a testimony, that's probably the greatest testimony you can receive. These counties entrust their children who have ran afoul of the law with Miss Duke and her staff.
May I share a couple of pet peeves with you, Mayor?
Please.
It's bothered me for years. The litter, people littering from their vehicles, littering illegally dumping.
I saw a motorcycle driver throw down a cigarette butt at a stoplight on my way in this morning. I looked at him and going, I don't understand that at all.
Yeah.
Put the thing out and stick it in your pocket or something.
Yeah, but the littering, the illegal dumping, and the high speed travel down our roads, the interstate 41, people doing 80, 100 miles an hour. Since I have grandchildren, that just incites me for people to be so careless with taking care of the environment and lives on the road.
Well, I go to Nashville every now and then. Well, here recently a lot, working on this bill. And I'm going to tell you, I do 75, Wayne. The speed limit is 70, but I do 75. But I get run over in the right-hand lane.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely run over in the right-hand lane.
100 plus is not unusual.
Oh, yeah, and the scary thing about it is they'll come up on you so quickly, you could make a lane change. You could check your mirrors 1 second, make a lane change, and be right in front of somebody doing 90 to 100 miles an hour and not know it.
I would think that would be a revenue stream, to be honest with you.
I think
if we can catch them.
Yeah.
I think speeding's the biggest complaint I see with social media and people complaining and yelling about, Murfreesboro, Smyrna, or the county, or Laverne about the speeding where they're seeing, and the cops are never where they should be, when knowing they're short staffing anyways. But it's that herd mentality that you find everybody starts going the speed, and it used to be 55 on the interstates, and everybody did. Then they increased it up to 65, and the speed limit now is 65, but it seems like 80 is the common knowledge now to do on the interstate.
Yeah, 80 is the new 70.
Yeah.
It really
That's
is.
exactly right.
And the quietness of cars and the way they're that advancement now, I'm gonna say I'm guilty of it sometimes, that I'll look down all of a sudden and I've creeped on up there because I was going with the flow of traffic and my car's so quiet.
Well, Rick, I need to let you ride in that F-350 2001 ton that I got with a flatbed on it. Be glad you will not do 80 in that truck and not realize it, brother.
I will go on the record.
I will.
I want to go on the record and say I do the speed limit.
I don't think you can get that truck to 80 and not know it. You just look. As a matter of fact, the needle on the gas gauge you just drop so quickly. You go,
like a flying aircraft carrier.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right.
Let's see. We got a few more minutes here, but I guess the rural stations that we've got, the public safety buildings, where are we at with those? And with
Sure.
With us in insurance, ISO ratings mean a lot. And like Kittrell, I've got several people insured out there, and they're rating on a 9 and 10, which is probably the worst in the state that we got as far as ISO ratings. So it affects their
that Kittrell station's probably to come online around April or May.
Yeah.
The Rockville station probably will come on 30 days quicker than that, probably around April.
Yeah.
And you're right, the Kittrell ISOs out there are 9 and 10, but with that fire station, Chief Farley tells me that they'll drop to a 5.
That's exactly
so let me ask you a question, because quantitatively, if you go from a 9 or a 10 down to a 5, give me an example, Rick, about how that would financially benefit a homeowner in Kittrell. Can you quantify that a little bit?
Well, there'll be other factors involved in that. So how age of your home, if it's got a newer roof or older roof, all that goes into an actuary that puts it. But I think, and Wayne can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you're going to see an $800 to a $900 decrease in your homeowner's rate.
Could cut it in half with that.
With a newer
home,
but
if everything's the same,
I mean, they look for the ISO ratings. There's a few things they look at, and that's one is how far a fire hydrant is from.
Right.
2 is what's your ISO rating, which means quality of your fire department if it's manned full time, if they got a 2,500 gallon.
But at $800, $900 savings in your insurance wouldn't
for
be
each and ever. Each person that lives in a 9 or a 10, and they'll go to a 5.
Yeah. Pretty impressive.
It would be substantial.
Yeah, it'd be substantial. That would be, and it's good news.
With Murfreesboro, I think they're still a 1, and then Laverne just got an ISO rating of a 2,
and Smyrna's
a 3.
Yeah,
I thought Smyrna was a 2.
Are they a 2?
I thought they were 2. I could be wrong.
But so a county resident, I can throw a rock and hit Smyrna city limits, and then I can throw a rock a little bit harder and I hit the fire station in Smyrna, but
they don't call.
They
don't respond.
They can't come to me.
They can't come to you if you're in the county.
Town, and my insurance rates are higher because of I'm in that 5 ratio versus the.
Well, they ain't no telling what mine are.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes 30 minutes to get down the Cotton Picking driveway.
That's right. So, but I just think that's important, and I was glad that federal funding came through, and I know there was a kind of a deal working there with the State Farm Building, but I'm almost happy that fell through, because I think the more impact the citizens are going to see is from these public safety stations once they're complete.
Yeah, and we're just real quick, I know we're running out of time, but we're bringing on Rockvale and Kittrell first. Then we're going to start construction of Las Casas and Walter Hill pretty soon, and then phase 3 will be Christiana and Del Webb. So we'll end up with 6 here in the next couple of years.
I was going to ask you, I thought it was 7, but it must be 6.
It's 6, yes,
okay.
Sir.
Well, I got through 4 of my half page. I had 8 on there, so I'm sliding over a date. I want you to pick out where you can come back so we can hit these other 4. But I want to thank you for being here with us, and
I enjoyed it.
Well,
I think the 3 of us have excellent faces for radio.
Yeah, exactly right. We may even be online today unless we set it on fire and the servers are broke.
Yeah, but dude, thank you for being here, and we would like you to come back, because I knew going in that I figured we would not be able to cover all the topics that we really need to with you, and thank you for your service.
We have a great place to live, don't we?
Yes, sir.
Sure
we
very
praise
thankful.
God every day for what He's given us. Amen.
Hope you enjoyed today's show. You listened to the Rutherford County Mayor, Joe Carr, with us on the Tuesday morning roundtable with Wayne and Rick. But we're going to be back with you again next Tuesday, and I hope everybody has a great day and get out and enjoy this sun and shine. And 70 degrees today, close to it anyways.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Have a good day.
Portions of our programming have been pre-recorded. The Good Neighbor Network, WGNS, Murfreesboro.